parents that you never have.
Mm-hmm. A long time ago, I had a picture of my birth mom, and I lost it, unfortunately. But so I know firsthand that having something like that can literally mean the world. And now I also have a picture of my birth dad who passed away before I got a chance to meet him. So I know twice that that's very, very important. And by the way, spitting image. Just saying.
Just like Harry.
Just like Harry. That's why a lot of these themed moments were kind of cool for me to read, because like, I get it, man. That's a really, really big deal. And I think a lot of people kind of, well, they can't really fully grasp what that means. But to the people that do, holy shit, this is not just like a lightly themed, oh, he didn't know his mom and dad. No, this can halt somebody's life.
Yeah.
Indefinitely. And the kid's 11, so this is when a lot of these thoughts are being formed. And so, yeah, no, this is massive for Harry. It's really, really cool that Hagrid did that.
Just the little stuff like seeing your smile or your eyes reflected back in somebody else's face can mean a whole lot, especially to an 11-year-old troubled kid who has family who hates him. So, I think that's a really special moment.
It brings us to another smaller special moment. They are at their end of the year feast. We get to see the points all tallied up and the winners of the House Cup.
I love that Dumbledore says, "Forgive an old man's wheezing waffle." I think that's a hilarious little... like, I don't even know what's so funny about it, but just calling somebody's, like, speech a waffle, I don't know. Makes me hungry.
I think it makes you hungry.
I do like waffles.
Yeah.
Well, I think like the beginning of the school year when he had everybody sing the song, he's like, okay, this is supposed to be a headmaster's address, and nobody really cares. They just want to get out of school, and it really doesn't matter anyway because the stone has been saved and that whole problem's taken care of. So Dumbledore is just like, all right, I got to do this thing. Bear with me. Let's get through it.
And he lets us know Gryffindor ended up in 4th place, Hufflepuff in 3rd, Ravenclaw 2nd, and Slytherin in 1st. And while we're not hardcore rooting for Slytherin, seeing the hall decked out in the green and the silver, that I would like that. I mean,
woo, woo.
I mean, yeah, go Slytherin, but favorite colors, I think it would just be really pretty.
That's right. They won with a lead of 472 points. I'm sorry, a total of 472 points. They actually led by like 50 points, give or take.
Is that because Slytherin was ran by Snape? Snape took care of, well, according to the book, I feel security, classroom, just random walking around, everything.
Yeah, Snape has been on these kids all year round, so I like your point, James, and I honestly had the thought that this isn't really a determining factor on the merit of the houses necessarily. I think it really has more to do with, like you said, teacher bias, and that Snape was fucking looking for trouble all year round. And probably giving his students points as much as possible, you know? But yeah, I think it's mainly because Snape is a dick. Even if he's not as bad as we thought he was, he's still no good.
Well, we have that, and then we have the kids all losing the points getting caught because they said that brought them down lower than anything ever has. And that combined with, it seems like losing at Quidditch somehow played into it too. Like, I don't know if winning the House Cup gets you an extra 150 points or something. Like, you win the Quidditch Cup and then also the House Cup. I'm sure that they tell us that at some point, but maybe not in this book necessarily. But they make a point to say, we lost at Quidditch, because you couldn't play. Like, it matters.
Well, it definitely matters to them.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, it matters as pertaining to the House Cup.
Right, because the Quidditch points don't count for the House Cup. They're two separate entities, right?
I feel like we'd be working with a lot larger numbers if they did.
Okay. So they lost Quidditch because Harry couldn't play, but that had nothing to do with the fact that they lost the House Cup as well.
I think maybe you get a bonus for winning that Quidditch Cup or something, because, I mean, the numbers don't make a whole lot of sense. We've talked about this before. The point systems don't make a whole lot of sense.
No.
Like, if you think about the fact that 3 students lost, 150 points in one night for one house, but how many students are there, and the total at the end of the year is only 472 for the winning house. Most points that are given have to have been in smaller increments than that.
Right, and we know that a lot of the point values that have been taken away and given throughout the year are kind of arbitrary to begin with, because they can just throw 50 points, or maybe he was in a good mood that day, 5 points off. Yeah, so Dumbledore, in his position as headmaster, has to make a couple of adjustments to the count, and he makes them as such. He says, first, he's going to award Ron 50 points for having the best played game of chess at Hogwarts. Which I liked. It goes back to Ron having the shittiest of everything, but his chess set was a war machine, and he was basically unstoppable. He gives another 50 points to Hermione for using cool logic in the face of fire. He gives Harry 60 points for pure nerve and outstanding courage. So he gets an extra 10, which means Gryffindor was tied with Slytherin at 472 points. Lastly, but definitely not least, he awards some extra points to Neville. He gives him 10 points for a great deal of bravery to stand up to our enemies, but just as much to stand up to our friends. This was the first 10 points that Neville gets to win for the Gryffindor.
I think Neville should have gotten a heck of a lot more than 10 measly points. He stood up to them, not to some enemy. No, he stood up to other kids that he was trying to be friends with. He risked friendship to do the right thing, and he gives him 10 points. I'm just a little bitter about it. I think it should have been more.
I agree with you that, especially for a kid like Neville, that was a big deal what he did, so it should count for a lot. I think for Dumbledore, it was more about the fact that his point pushed them over the top. He's the one that won it. I think that's why he gave it to him last. Even though Harry did the thing, he saved the stone from Voldemort. I think that Dumbledore made sure that Neville's points came last, even though they were the lowest amount, because he wanted him to have that moment of being the one who won. I think also he got less because he didn't have to deal with any of the hard stuff.
True.
So I can kind of understand, but he wanted him to still get that. You were still a part of it. You still helped Gryffindor do it.
Right.
They literally couldn't have done it without him.
Right.
They needed him, and he's important, even though he's a pain in the ass. The whole book, he's a really important player in all of this.
And he gets lost in the sea of kids that are just giving him hugs. So that's really nice.
Neville wins life. For a day. He wins the day.
Yay, Gryffindor!
You think the hugs for him were worth more than the points?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think he's been needing some acceptance. And definitely in the form of hugs. It does go on to say that both Harry and Ron got good marks on their exams. Because, I mean, they had to look. Let's not forget, they were at school this year. All of this stuff aside, surprise, surprise, Hermione is the top student of the year. And even Neville scraped through because apparently he's really good at herbology. Which, you know, he's just kind of hanging out by himself a whole bunch. Damn sure should have been a Hufflepuff.
Yeah. He's just growing that dank weed.
Mm-hmm, that tracks.
And again, everything's packed, and Trevor is found in the bathroom.
That kind of makes sense. It's a toad. It's cool and moist in a bathroom.
And he's just trying to escape his, evil kidnappers. That's fine.
Yeah, it never sheds any light about Trevor and whether or not he is really just a kidnapped wizard.
And they do get the warning of not doing magic while they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Which would be a huge fucking bummer.
Well, do they really think that they're going to listen?
I think Harry was really planning on getting some revenge. He is a wizard now. He's gone to wizard school. So to hear that, hey, while you're over there, you can't use your magic would be kind of a letdown.
How frustrating would it be to learn the little spells during the course of this year, like making water come out of the end of your wand so you can just pour a glass of water or something? Or picking up something off the ground, Wingardium Leviosaing something onto the table when you drop it, or opening a lock without your keys, and then going back to the Muggle world and being like, damn it, I have to get up now.
I think it might be to keep them a little humble. Like, yes, things are easier with magic, but that doesn't mean you have to.
I would just be very, very irritated.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's valid. It would be awful.
And then we come to Hagrid bringing them back to the boats and sending them off across the lake. Again, he has to go through all of the chaos of all the kids, and I still maintain, even though it is not specified at all, that this has to be complete fucking chaos. The whole school worth of kids, because this isn't just the first years, right? Or is it still?
It would be the whole school leaving, because it doesn't say that the specific years stay year-round.
So they go from the boats to the train. They actually kind of come up with something that I was curious about, if you guys remember, in like the third or fourth episode. And Jade mentions it too, about how do they hide this mass of people running into platform 9 3/4, or at least coming out of platform 9 3/4. And they do that by only letting 2 or 3 kids go at a time. And we did talk a little bit about class sizes, but this is still a lot of people. This must have taken for fucking ever. Probably about, yeah, I don't really even have a guess as to how long this would have taken. I know lines at Universal, if you have 400 people, say, in line, it's going to take a minute for you to get through.
Yeah, I mean, there's roughly 700 kids going 2 or 3 at a time through the barrier.
Who's to say that's the only opening, though?
The book does, I think.
That could have just been what that portion of the country of new wizards was given to enter.
True.
There could be like a 10 1/8.
I do think this is one of those little details, little facts that you get in the book that, while it's small, it's fun to know those little things.
Yeah.
Like how they get through and how they make it not obvious.
Logistics and stuff.
Right.
So Harry eventually gets through and he sees the Weasleys, and there's Vernon. I was actually kind of surprised that fucker showed up. I thought he was going to make him walk. After all, the last time we saw him, he ditched him at King's Cross Station without a way to get back.
I think that is because now that he's gone to Hogwarts, to, magic school, they don't necessarily know what he is and isn't allowed to do. So now it's just abraca-fuck off. And they have to do whatever he wants if he gets pissed off enough. So now they're trying to ease into making him a little more comfortable before they realize what exactly is the rules of his magic.
Right. And he does actually say that to Ron before he leaves. He's like, yeah, I know I can't use magic, and I can picture him like full on snicker with the squinty little eyes, like, they don't know that though. I'm gonna fuck Dudley up. Yeah. then he goes on with the Dursleys back to their home on